All right, let's go. All right. The rich get richer. Boston Bruins made a. I like it. I like it. Orlov, he plays about 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, he was one of Washington's probably number 2 or 3 defensemen. Hathaway.
He's a big, tough guy.
6'3".
Yeah, just what they needed. Just what they needed. Bruins get rich. I look at this here. And I see the Bruins first place overall. They're making trades, and everybody's getting loaded up.
Yeah, then you look. Toronto gets O'Reilly, and then New York gets Tarasenko.
If I was McDavid and Draisaitl, I'd say, well, what's going on? I mean, everybody's loading up for...
Yeah, because this is Sunday morning, and you look at what happened last night. I mean, now they were on a bit of a roll, but, they're down 4-0. They come back 4-4. The third period, they outshoot the Blue Jackets 24-6, and they lose.
It was ridiculous.
They lose 6-5, and
if I was McDavid and Draisaitl, I'd wonder what the heck is going on. Yeah. I really do. They don't make any moves. I mean, everybody else is making. Maybe they're just waiting to make a move.
Yeah, but it looks like guys are trying to make moves before the deadline now. So. And how about McDavid he had 4 points again. I think that he's got 4 points, 10 times this year. He scored on a slap shot, and that was his first slap shot goal of the year.
If you're a guy like McDavid, you don't need a slap shot. Remember the time I didn't want you to make a slap shot?
Yeah, you always told me not. You told me don't slap the puck. You always said...
Everybody could.
You said you can learn... To slap it when you get older. When I was maybe 10, and you wanted me to handle it, just handle it and shoot. And when you made a rink in the backyard, you made a very small rink, so I was always turning.
Yeah,
I was always turning, and you made a stick, and I used.
It doesn't have to be a big sheet of ice.
No, you wanted it small, so I turned because that's now they call it edges, but you always wanted me to turn left and right,
Yeah,
and then. I got you remember you shaved my sticks down. I used to get Ricky Middleton sticks.
Doesn't make any sense to have a stick the size of a man.
Right. And then Peter McNabb, I was out on the ice with Peter McNabb, who's a 40-goal scorer. And Peter never really took a lot of slap shots either. Come to think of it,
he didn't.
And he asked me, and he said, he was a 40-goal scorer, and I was out before the practice, and he said, take a slap shot. And I said, I don't know how. And he says, how are you going to play in the National Hockey League if you don't know how to take a slap shot? He's going on. So he's showing me how to take a slap shot, and you came out. And for some reason, we were the only 3 on the ice. And you come on, what are you doing, Peter? And he said, teach Tim to take a slap shot. Well, I don't want him to take a slap shot. So you and him got into an argument. Any dummy can slap a puck. So Peter says, slap the puck. Tim, I want to see you take a slap shot. And I took a slap shot, and my stick snapped right in 2.
See? You weren't supposed to take a slap shot.
And then Peter was all apologetic after that. That was funny.
Tim, did you see that Ullman score the goal last night?
Yeah.
You know the reason why he scored the goal? Because he's got lots of time. He made the turn, and he could have taken it in 5. He could have taken 10 seconds more. If you're going to throw the puck in, you got to have a guy going after it. And if a guy hadn't been going after it, he never had the chance to score on the empty net.
When we watch the games, you are always saying they don't dump the puck in properly.
Well, they dump it in, and then they make a change.
Right, and the guys just walk out.
How about the guy stands behind the net waiting for the... Bobby Orr would have lost it until he's 100 years old. Well, Tim, I see where Ryan O'Reilly put in the paper. He's awful happy here. He never dreamed that he'd ever... Well, where did he play? He played in... minor hockey here. What team?
I think he played for the Junior Canadians.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he played a lot. If I remember it.
Right, we said last time that he when we were watching him play minor midget, he played minor midget, and then he also played provincial junior
because he was so young.
He was playing an awful lot, and by the end of the season, he was really getting tired. You could tell he played too much. He was getting tired.
Well, anyhow, he put in the paper how he's so happy. He can't believe he's in the Leafs. His hometown. Better be careful because he's got to sign his contract. you might end up with a
haircut.
A haircut to play in Toronto here.
Yeah. So, Dad, Mark Giordano, I don't know if he broke the record or he's about to break the record of most blocked shots with 2,045. Now, that's only since 2005 they started keeping track, so we don't know how far back it goes. And he beat a guy named Chris Russell, retired last year, played for Edmonton.
Boy, that's the only time that Rose, when she watched the game, she'd be afraid. And I said, how come you're not afraid in the fight? She said, well, I knew you could handle yourself in the fight, but when you block a shot, they don't know where they're going. And that's the only time she used to be.
Yeah, that's scary. So who was the best shot blocker you ever played with?
Al Arbor was the best guy I ever saw blocking.
With glasses on. He went down and blocked shots, and he played with glasses.
I remember one time he had a stick out in front, and it ran up. The puck ran up and hit him right between the eyes.
Oh.
His glasses were covered in blood.
Oh.
Anyhow, and so I said to Cheevers, I said, you must have really appreciated Al Arbor. He says, I hated it. He says, once it got through him, I had no idea where it was going because he used to block it, get right down and block it.
He used to slide on the ice.
Yeah, and Cheevers he hated it, and I was really surprised at that.
So Cindy's not here today. She's taking a Sunday off, and she went down. She's into the pet rescue. She's Don Cherry Pet Rescue Foundation and gives a lot of money to a lot of small pet rescue charities. And she's down at the Second Chance Ranch in Odessa. And that's near Kingston.
Yeah.
And they rehabilitate and rehome horses and goats and alpacas and ponies and pigs and donkeys, chickens and unwanted farm animals. So
isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, so she's down checking them out, and they asked her to go down. So she's take the Sunday and drove down to Kingston.
She takes that serious, boy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Spreads.ca. They're a Canadian-owned online sportsbook and casino. And if you sign up now and use the promo GRAPE, they'll match your deposit up to $500. You get 10 spins on the big wheel for some big dough. And your first sports bet, they'll spot you at $25. And now the football's over. They're gearing up for baseball starting up pretty soon. So
there'll be a lot of betting going on there.
Yeah. I watched a little. We'll talk about it later. I watched a little bit of the Blue Jays yesterday, and you don't
like that pitch count, eh?
The clock, no. I think you're going to have to get used to it. I hate to say it, it seemed rushed. I know they want to cut the games down, but I don't know. They're trying to speed it up, and the National Hockey League face-offs. I was on, and I said, I cannot believe me linesmen, me not only do icing. Yeah, and remember they had the rule that they were just going to drop the puck. And everybody, that was great. And then they did it for like about 10 games, and that was it.
Yeah. They said the players would learn.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
They don't even.
So I got a question, Dad. I read in the paper that Sheldon Keefe, there was a practice, and he rested. He told Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner to stay home and rest. So have you ever, you ever done that?
Well, I did that, but I never did it with young guys like that. At least I'd have them come home. I had Jean Rattel and Brad Park. Now, John Rattel, he was an ex-pro golfer. He was pretty good, too. He had to give up golf because, I guess that's tough on the back. And Brad Park had a bad knee. So I used to tell everybody off I'd have it optional except for Brad Park and Rattel. And the guys didn't resent it. Cash, I used to throw Cash in there, too, because Cash had a bad back. But he wouldn't take day off.
Well, you were saying John Rattel didn't want to do it, right?
No, John Rattel, no, Donnie, New York Rangers, we always practice every day. And I said, well, this isn't New York Rangers. And I said, you stay home. He was thin as a rail. He needed to practice like he needed a hole in the head. Well, it looks like Tavares, O'Reilly, and Marner are going to be together that's a pretty good line.
Yeah, well, they get three. They dismantled Buffalo the other day. So
yeah, Marner actually could play by himself.
Yeah, he looks like the guy that if any line's a little bit of trouble, Keith puts Marner on it to kind of straighten it out, right?
Yeah, well, they'll think he could play by himself. He grabs a puck, and and by the way, that Nylander. That was a beautiful goal the other night.
Oh, yeah, on Friday.
That was a beautiful goal.
Yeah. You know, I got to say, though, Dad, I know the anti-Leaf fans don't like this, but this is Sunday morning, so last night was, Saturday night and hockey night in Canada. And when the Leafs aren't on, it just seems weird when they're not on Saturday.
Well, they're all usually on.
My one friend said, yeah, it seems like it's the playoffs.
Well, I don't know whether when we go that far. But when the Leafs aren't on, it seems funny.
Yeah, it does, especially Saturday night. So, Dad, we're going to take some questions like we've been taking, and we got a Facebook question. Somebody wanted to know if you had any good stories about Gary Unger.
Well, Gary Unger at one time was the Iron Man of the league. He played 914 games, I think it was.
In a row.
Hey?
In a row,
yeah. Now, wait a minute. Let's get things straight. They're not Iron Men.
No. You're not getting hurt.
You make a point of not getting hurt.
Yeah.
840 points he got. I wrote all this down, by the way. 840, 413 goals. And, by the way, he had over 1,000 minutes in penalties. The next in line was Doug Jarvis at 964. Then Keith Yandel had 983. And Kessel, he's going to keep going. He's had over 1,000 games. But Gary Unger was, when he, where he first started was in Rochester.
Was it? Yeah?
Yeah, I had him in Rochester. He was owned by the Leafs. They had him when he was 18, and I had to take care of him.
So were you coaching or playing?
No, I was playing. Don't ask me. They must have thought
so
I
you was his roommate?
Yeah, I was a roommate, and anybody
you got all the Jimmy McKinney, Gary Unger,
Connie
Madigan, Larry Zeidel, boy.
I got them all. Anyhow, I was supposed to take care of him because he was only 18 years old. I couldn't go with the guys. Wouldn't want him to go on a drink.
Yeah, you wanted to keep him from the
I wanted to keep him from that. Anyhow, he was a guy that had the barbecue at his ranch. He had a ranch. And they went, and Bobby Gassoff went in a motorcycle to get some more potato chips. And on the way back, he was killed. Boy, that Bobby Gassoff, was he a tough guy?
Yeah, we've talked about him.
Yeah, I know, but he was a tough guy. All right, all right.
So how long was he with you in Rochester?
Well, he wasn't long. He got traded, and then he went around the league. And you know how his thing ended? He didn't quit. He used to go on the ice and hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But he actually, the coach wouldn't let him on.
Well, benched him.
Yeah, I benched him. And the coach said he's getting, every time we go in, it's not about us playing. It's about him breaking the record. So he held him off. He could have played forever.
So, Dad, we got from Facebook, Matt Powell. He wanted to know which city was the most hostile place to play away games when you were coaching and when you were playing.
Well, I don't know about playing because I played an awful lot of places. But the most what coaching was, there's no doubt about it. You think it's going to be Philadelphia or something. It's not. It was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh, of all places. You had to walk across the ice to get off. Boy, and I remember when we were in the playoffs, they had a great big dog like Blue. It just looked like Blue. I bet it was 4 feet, 5 feet high, and I'm waving to the guy
because he's got a sign that says Blue, right?
Yeah, he's way up on top, and we were winning. I don't know. We won the game 3-0 or something. Cheevers was outstanding. And I come out for the third period, and here he had it hanging.
Yeah, then the sign said "Die Blue, Die."
Yeah. So it was, and I was going off the ice. I remember they threw. You could reach over the glass and throw beer on my suits.
I remember that. I remember you walking off, and Mike Milbury came over.
Yeah, and I said, "Here, give me your helmet."
They were throwing stuff, yeah.
They were throwing cans and stuff.
Because how many times did you? I think we met them at least once or twice in the playoffs.
We met them. Well, we met them once, and without a doubt, there's no question in my mind whatsoever. Pittsburgh was the toughest team to play.
Okay, Dad. What's the next question?
The next question is from Twitter. It's MK2. He wanted to know, what car did I drive when I was playing? and what car. I was a car guy. I mean, I really was a car guy. When I was playing, I used to drive. The car that I drove the most, and I'd have to say, was a 57. No, 57 or 58. I forget. Maybe about 57. I wonder Rose let me blow all my money on my cars. So anyhow, I went a 57 Oldsmobile. Anyhow, that's the one. And then I traded that in, and I got a 60 Pontiac Parisienne. Boy, it was a beautiful one. And then I traded in, and I traded it in up here, for a 64. That was the only 64 Parisienne Pontiac. Well, when I went in Rochester, they give me 2 Monte Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember them, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Cindy
had the one. She talks about that all the time. I don't know what happened, Dad. We went to get that Monte Carlo, refurbished. We had the engine done and everything, and then it just disappeared. But I don't know what happened.
Well, I took it to a place, and the guy was going to just disappeared.
So I remember we had a lot of cars growing up, and then when you worked at Valley Cadillac for that little time, we got the Cadillacs. But I think everybody remembers you when we moved up here. So your favorite car was a
1983 Mark VI two-door, and it was a two-door. I had that car the other day I just let it go. But I had that car. That's the only car I drove for years when I was in 1983 up until 2020. That was my car. That was a beauty car.
Now, was that the one the last one you had? Because you had 2, and then when you got
gave one away.
But when you look back at it, you found out it was Harold Ballard's car.
And it's funny you remember that. That I went and got the car, and it was a white top and a blue bottom, and you couldn't get that, and it wasn't painted over.
Yeah,
it was.
It really looked sharp.
Oh, it was really sharp. But what happened was that Harold Ballard. It was Harold Ballard's car, and the guy.
I don't think you didn't know about it because I think you took it to Bernie's or something like that, who was our mechanic, and he looked into it and he said, "Did you know this is Harold Ballard's car?"
Harold Ballard car, and I remember he used to have the tiger on the back of the thing. Yeah, he owned Hamilton Tigers. Anyhow, that was my car it was the best car I had. Inside of it cost me $2,500 to put the inside. I had the inside done again, and I had that from when it was brand new, and I gave it away.
Okay, Dad, we'll wrap it up with one last question, and this one comes from Twitter. It's Jared Kissick. The goalie of choice in Game 7 of a playoff game.
There is no question I would go with Terry Sawchuk. I saw him play, and he was the best goaltender I ever saw, boy. And he hardly wore any equipment. I don't know how he'd do it today, but he used to be in a crouch all the time, crouched down. He said he could see the guys shooting and everything. But I don't know. He wore a mask near the end, but I don't know how with shooting today. But the best goalie I'd go with the 7th game would be Terry Sawchuk.